I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. One minute I held the key, next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand.
And welcome to the 17th Annual New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame Induction Ceremony. Great to have you all with us. And I know you're accustomed to the great Bob Norton being here. He did it for many years, emceed this event for many years. It took not only me, but Doc Garrett from 106.3 Frank FM to host this presentation today. So let's give Bob a big round of applause because he did such a great job over the years. But what a great day this is for hockey, and Doc.
Well, I'll tell you what, so I have the public service portion of the
public
program.
service announcement.
So we talked to Hazy last night out of respect for the folks that might be taping the Patriots game because there's a little football game on this afternoon. We're in a bubble, so if you want to know the score, fine. We're not going to announce it, and please respect the fact that people might want to watch the game after, so we're not going to talk about the Patriots.
Because
okay?
we know many of you will be recording it.
Besides, this is a hockey banquet.
That's right. So no Patriots updates. And you can check your phone if you want, but we won't be guilty of telling you any scores.
Correct.
So it's going to be a great day for hockey. This is a great celebration of hockey. I was talking with Senator D'Alessandro, and there's nothing in this state that rivals this event here today in terms of sports in this state. And we celebrate the great game of hockey, which means so much to the Granite State. Right now, we're going to pause for our invocation and Father Marcel Martel.
Creator God, maker of heaven and earth, of ice and snow, of human knowledge and skills, of science and art, we thank you for our experiences and memories and history of hockey, of skating on ponds, competing in ice arenas, and over in the state-of-the-art sports gears. We pray for those who play the sport today and who will carry the legacy we leave with them tomorrow. Boys and girls, men and women, Americans, Canadians, and people of every nationality. May they grow physically strong, be always mentally awake, and maintain high moral standards. May they praise you, O Lord, with their thoughts and with their lips, in their hearts, and strive to become loving human beings, which is the greatest legacy we here today leave behind. Amen.
Thank you, Father Martel. And now it takes a lot of people to put an event like this together. We talked about Jim Hayes a moment ago. But right now I introduce to you the president of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, former UNH great John Norman.
Thank you, Ken. Welcome. On behalf of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the 17th induction ceremony of the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame. Congratulations to our 6 Hall of Fame inductees. A special welcome to their family members and friends who have come to join today's celebration. In addition, I also want to welcome members of our Hall of Fame who are in attendance today. We've gathered here because of a game that has touched each of our lives in many different ways. This is a unique event that brings the New Hampshire hockey community under one roof, where we can rekindle old friendships, foster new ones, and celebrate the past, present, and future of hockey in New Hampshire. Of course, we're gathered primarily to honor 6 individuals who made significant contributions to the sport of hockey in New Hampshire. The class of 2018 represents both the past and the present of hockey in New Hampshire. Like all of our members of the Hall of Fame, our new inductees have given back to the sport of hockey as builders, supporting or managing various hockey programs at a local or national level, and as players who have left their unique imprint on the New Hampshire hockey landscape, beginning from their youth hockey days, high school or prep, to college and on to the professional ranks. I'd like to take a moment to recognize a couple of dignitaries who have joined us today. Please hold your applause until the end. State Senator Lou D'Alessandro of Manchester, a longtime Legends supporter and former board member. Mayor Jim Boulay of Concord. Coach Dick Umili, our keynote speaker. And as many of you are aware, the New Hampshire Legends was formed in 2001 with our primary mission of honoring, celebrating, and preserving New Hampshire's rich ice hockey history while supporting the development of hockey. As noted in your program, the first organized hockey game with rules in the United States was played in 1883 on a pond here in Concord by students of St. Paul's School, today's luncheon sponsor. You can access the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame and our Hockey Museum over the internet on the New Hampshire Legends website, newhampshireLegendsofHockey.com. Annually, anyone can research and submit a nomination, which we highly encourage, of a deserving individual for induction annually. This year, those nominations will be due on March 1st of 2019. Please do not, as you can see, the candidates that we have this year are brought on as a result of people like yourselves who are nominating candidates. We highly encourage you to get your nominations in. In the past years, the focus of the New Hampshire Legends has continued to expand and by supporting the growth of hockey in New Hampshire at all levels. We've supported several youth hockey programs with equipment purchases for families of need, most recently Rochester Youth Hockey Association. We partner with the New Hampshire high school coaches to recognize boys and girls all-state players. We also partner with the New Hampshire prep schools and coaches to recognize their all-state players. We sponsor the Senior All-Star doubleheader for Division I and II and Division III at the season's end. In addition, we help support Boys and Girls Make-A-Wish Foundation game between New Hampshire and Vermont and the high school seniors. We've supported the Black Ice Pond Hockey Tournament, a senior pond hockey tournament held here in Concord at White's Park each January. If you haven't attended, I highly urge you to do so. Their proceeds have gone to expand skating areas throughout the capital city and now are financially supporting the current construction of a new skate house at the park. It also connects many of us on the Legends board to our roots, to the days when we learned to play hockey on local ponds in our hometowns. You can expect the New Hampshire Legends to continue to support hockey in New Hampshire, particularly the future of the sport at the grassroots level, at the youth hockey level. We are extremely pleased to have Paul Camo, the current president of New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association, on our board of directors. Thank you, Paul. In particular, I'd like to thank our key sponsors, as you look around the room, the banners. St. Paul's School, many thanks to Michelle Chacoin, Vice Rector of St. Paul's School, and a number of their alumni who are here today. Please stand. St. Paul's School. Thank you for your support. Our co-title sponsors, New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association. Many thanks to Paul Camo and their board of directors, and to Vachon, Cloquet and Company, Bob and Kathy Vachon. Please stand. And our social hour sponsor, New Hampshire Distributors. Many thanks to Tom Brown and Chris Brown and the entire management team for their support, which dates back to 2004. Please stand, the folks from New Hampshire Distributors. And as you can see, the gold and silver level sponsors with the banners around the room. I won't read every one of them. Thank you for your contribution and support, and to the 7 bronze members in the program. Thank you all for your generosity and support. The New Hampshire Legends is a nonprofit organization that depends on your support and that of our sponsors to continue our mission, which is printed in the top front cover of your program. Our executive director and board work tirelessly all year to organize events, this event, as well as our annual golf classic and the senior high school games that are held in March. I'd like to thank all of our current board members that are listed on page 1 of the program, and I'd like to have a moment of silence as we remember the teammates we have lost over the past year. Those include Brian Stone, Dee Dee Villeneuve, and a longtime friend and Sacred Heart historian, Barney Colgan. Thank you. Once again, our congratulations to the class of 2018 inductees. We believe everyone will enjoy the ceremony, and thank you all for attending. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. And without any further ado, the aforementioned state senator who has been a driving force behind the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey in this banquet. I don't know if he's missed one yet, but he is here today, folks. The one and only, the Honorable Lou D'Alessandro.
Well, welcome to the most exciting banquet in New Hampshire. I've been to football banquets, Dickie, but this is it. This is the big time. And I want to say this. In Durham, they tried to change Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. I fought against it because I won the Christopher Columbus Award when I was a kid. So remember, the NHLOH are still here, we're still strong, and we support Columbus. First of all, it's always great to be here. My neighbor across the street, Dickie Boucher, would never, ever allow me not to come. So he's got a hold on us, and he's commander-in-chief of the neighborhood. I want to tell you that clearly and succinctly. The governor loves to come to items like this, but this is an election time, and you know he's out and about. I was with him yesterday. We were at a Nepalese event, and he's alive and well, taking nourishment, and wants to get reelected. So let me read his letter. Dear friends, I'm happy to join the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey in recognizing this year's wonderful list of inductees into the Hall of Fame, and to help you recognize the many achievements and contributions to hockey in New Hampshire. All of this year's inductees have helped to highlight the athleticism, charismatic, and important contribution to the teamwork that are needed to be a great hockey player and in turn make these inductees great athletes. They've all been helped along their path to success by great coaches and mentors, one of whom is the great Dick Umili. All have also used those lessons and guidance to give back to the sport and to the young players who came up after them. who have looked up to them as role models both on and off the ice. The coaches and builders being recognized today have also made immense contributions to the sport in the guidance they have shown players in the importance of promoting and encouraging involvement of hockey within their communities. These Hall of Famers will all have added to the great excitement of the game and to their commitment. Their commitment has gone a long way to help promote hockey in the state of New Hampshire. I commend the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey for selecting such a group of great inductees, and thank you for all that you have done to support hockey in the Granite State. Again, congratulations to all of today's inductees, and thank you for all that you have done to contribute to the sport and make hockey a New Hampshire tradition loved by so many generations. Sincerely, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor. For each inductee, the Governor has a citation, and you'll also get a citation from the Senate honoring you on this wonderful and momentous occasion. Never played hockey, but go to a lot of hockey games. And I'm going to end by telling you a quick story, Kenny. Is that all right? Do I have enough time?
All right. Take your time, Lord.
Okay. When I was a freshman at the University of New Hampshire, I had a work-study job, which was cleaning off the ice rink. Ice rink was outside. We froze to death watching hockey games. So we had a 55-gallon drum filled with water with towels at the bottom. That's how we made the ice in between periods. Big deal in those days. And I used to have to walk after it with a shovel, Dickie, and throw the residue over the side. Man, have we moved forward. We have the Whittemore Center at the university. We've got great teams. We've had great events for everybody, and just shows you that progress is really important, and we are progressing here in New Hampshire and at the university. To everyone who came, thank you for coming. To each of the inductees, my heartiest congratulations. And I thought I saw Blackie over there, Rod Blackburn. Rod was my classmate at the university, and he wore the same jacket for 4 years. I want to tell you that. The same one. The New England Championship Notre Dame High School jacket. So everybody have a great American Day. Thanks for coming. And remember, vote on November 6th. Thank you.
All right, next, I'm not sure, Concord City Mayor Jim Boley, I'm not sure if he's here or not. Is he here? Jim? Boley! Going once, going twice. I'm going to move on and bring up President John Norman again with some recognitions.
I'd like to, at this time, invite some of my predecessors to come up for a quick photo. Past presidents Roland Martin, Dick Boucher, Renee Leclerc, and Greg Moffett. If you would please come up, we'll do a quick photo. Thank you, gentlemen, for your support over the years and continued support, except for Greg. Each year, we select one team to honor at our induction ceremony, and last October, we announced that that team was going to be Manchester Regional Youth Hockey Association, also known as MIRA. And today, we honor them. For more than 50 years, Manchester Regional Youth Hockey Association has given boys and girls of all ages and abilities the opportunity to play, enjoy, and compete in the sport of hockey. In 1964, Manchester New Hampshire Junior Hockey League was created with a mission of teaching young boys between the ages of 6 and 13 the principles of good sportsmanship and of effective participation in the sport of hockey, as well to make young boys and girls aware of and proficient in hockey to build their character and physical fitness through winter sports. In 1973, the Board of Directors, under the president of Lou Farley, changed the corporate name to Myra, with a stated goal of providing effective opportunities for area youth, regardless of race, color, or sex, to compete at all levels of youth hockey. For a time, Myra was one of the largest youth programs in the country, and although it no longer holds this distinction, it still remains the largest and one of the oldest programs in the state of New Hampshire. They continue to provide opportunities for any child who wants to play the game of hockey, with programs ranging from Learn to Skate to the Flames travel programs. A few highlights I'd like to touch on. Recently, Myra was the first organization in the state selected by the Boston Bruins to participate in the Little Bruins program. In 1982, Myra hosted the National Midget Tournament. In 1990, Manchester was also selected to host another National Bantam Tournament. Over the years, the Flames organization has competed in several national championships, winning the Junior C National Championship in 1985 and again in '86. Myra has produced many talented players who went on to have successful careers in both collegiate and professional levels. A few of these players include Rand Pecknold, Jeff Sorowick, Jeff Giuliano, Tim Schaller, Zach Sanford, and with us today, Yubi and Kyle McDonough. The current president of Myra Board of Directors is Mike Bayer, and he has 42 current and former Myra alumni here in attendance today. Please, everyone from the Myra organization, please stand for a round of applause. I'd like to invite Hubie McDonough and Ken Roberge up to the stage for a brief presentation.
Congratulations, first of all, to all the inductees. This is not my forte. My dad would love this, but this is not, I'm just going to get through it, all right? Thank you for having me here today, and I guess what Myra's meant to me, I probably wouldn't be standing here today if Myra and the Flames didn't originate. What I have is a little story of how my dream, I guess for lack of a better term, I was on my way home with Dad from practice or whatever, and he used to play hockey on Tuesday nights with the men's league. So I'm watching the Bruins play at night, and I think that this is kind of a men's league. So I asked my dad, do you think the bosses of the Bruins, Espo and Bobby Orr, and those did they get the day off when they have a game that night? And he explained to me no, that's their job. I said, you can play hockey, that's their job, playing hockey? I want to do that. That's what I want to do. So he passed me on the head and says, all right, yeah, get in the back seat and we'll talk. So, as I remember it, we did the Myra, as it was mentioned earlier, one practice, play on Saturday mornings, whatever color you were. And I saw Dave Corbo, his dad started this, he played that kind of buzzer hockey at the time, but teams were even, and we had a good time. You look forward to that Saturday game. And if it wasn't for, I'm not sure, I guess we debated it earlier when the Flames actually started, but there's two people I'd like to mention, because among others that I'll probably forget, but Don Williamson and Paul Leonard, when they opened the Sauhegan Skating Center, as I remember it, that really is what took off with the Manchester Flames. And we got more practices, more games, and gave me the ability to play more and get better and take it as far as I was able to. I could go on and on. but I know everybody wants to get going. The Pats are playing. So I'll end with saying that I want to thank everybody in Myra, and I know some of them are gone now, the forefathers, but the legacy lives on, and the people that are on the board now, and it gave me and my brother Kyle the opportunity to go as far as we did, and to this day, I'm still in hockey, so I really appreciate everything. You don't really realize it as a kid. When you're there, you just get in the car, you go to the games, but on the other side of it, when I had my children, and you run ragged, and it becomes a lifestyle. All the parents and all the help you get from the other families, you're all one big hockey family, and that's what I remember. And I want to thank Myra very much for giving me the opportunity to stand here and to be a part of the organization. Thank you.
Congratulations to our this year's inductees, to the Board of Directors, and obviously to the Myra Board of Directors for asking me to speak on behalf. Hubie went first because he knew how to back check. Most of you know who I am. That was not my forte. So he is gone first. Thanks, Hugh. I started with the Manchester Junior Hockey League in 1967. And I know you're all looking at me saying, how could that be possible? But it's true. Many, many moons ago. But I remember my father bringing me down to, and most of you will know this if you're from Manchester, the only sports store we had back then was Morrow's Hardware. Bought me a size 4 pair of CCMs that were 17 sizes too big, but he was intent on making me a hockey player. Fortunately, we had people like Mr. Corvo, Dave Corvo's dad, who I grew up right next to their facility, who was the president of the league at the time and had the most wonderful closet of used equipment you'd ever seen in your life. And he was able to get me a pair of skates that actually fit. I grew up basically 4 blocks from the JFK, which allowed me to be able to be there early in the morning and there late in the afternoon, and truly becoming what we considered back in the 60s a rink rat. I was pretty proud of that as well. Because like Hubie said, one of the things that we did do back then is everybody played in the House League division. We had no Flames organization at that point, but we did have what we considered an all-star team. And what they did is every team or every division at that time, and back then, I don't know if you remember this, but when we started, we weren't mites, we were mosquitoes. Mosquitoes, squirts, bantams, and then midgets. But I started out as a mosquito, and, you know, I was very proud of that fact that I was a mosquito from Manchester. But the thing that I wasn't proud of is the fact that I had to get up at 4 a.m. to get to the J by 4:30 to get suited up to play in our game, and then we'd find out at 11 o'clock who would be playing for that day. And back then, the dreaded day could be Concord, it could be Berlin, or it could be Nashua, but God knows we look forward to those days. Extra ice, as Hubie said, was always available at Doors Pond, but back then it was kind of like the Mystery Alaska thing. Us kids had to skate the pond, and then the older guys got to have the rink. And you could never make that rink until you were either in high school or you were, you know, Ray Champagne or Andre Prefontaine or one of the wonderful guys that we have here with us today. My dad was a division manager. Back then, everything was, like I said, done by divisions. And I was fortunate that my father not only was a president of the league at one point, but also was a division manager in the Mosquitoes, the Squirts, the Peewees, which allowed me to get more ice. Because if we put 2 and 2 together, if you didn't play, if you didn't ref, you didn't get any extra ice. So we all went through that deal at the day. So overall, I've been associated with the league for over 51 years as a player, referee, coach, and now as a proud grandfather of 2 young Flames players who are here with us today, both playing for the Flames organization and showing us the way. Mr. Woods, Mr. Ross, Mr. Dodge Williamson, Mr. Leonard, Mr. Farley, and others come to mind as influences for me as a part of the Manchester Junior Hockey League, and now it's transformed into the organization that has become. We had simpler days, and that thought of going to Tingsboro back in the day was huge. We thought we were really going somewhere, but in fact, it was 35 minutes away, and the only difference between them and us is the fact that they had Shakey's Pizza. So the organization at this point, I feel, should be very, very proud of the legacy it has put into hockey in the state of New Hampshire. They've had college players, pro players, and kids that grew up and became great coaches at all levels, including juniors, college, and minors. And I'm proud to say that I started in that league and I'm still with it today. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right, is everyone ready to eat now? I would think so. So while we're getting ready for that, enjoy a hockey video from Mr. Chase. I think it's from 1932 in Lake Placid. A little grainy black and white.
Okay, I have one official business request, and that has to do with our annual supporters drive. In the brochures, you will see this brochure where we are asking for your support. An annual contribution, the minimum is $25. Your contribution helps this event, as well as all of the other things that I discussed where we're helping youth hockey programs throughout the state, the black ice, and we're always open to new ideas, new avenues where we can help support the growth of hockey. $25 is the minimum, as much as $150 as a platinum supporter. Please, one last request. We urgently need your support to keep this event and our mission going. So thank you.
How was the meal? It was absolutely delicious. Great to see so many Hall of Famers in attendance here today, and we are going to recognize them right now, starting with Table 1, Rod Blackburn and Dick Roy. Please stand at Table 1.
At Table 3, Dick Umili, John Norman, and I want to tell a quick story. Ken's going to kill me for doing this, but Ken got inducted into the Hall of Fame here in 2010, and he was so dedicated to his craft of broadcasting the Monarchs that he came here that morning, did his interviews as he did every time, left before the ceremony, got his ring. So could we now officially welcome Ken Kale to the Hall of Fame, please?
Thanks, Doc. Thank you. But you know what? I didn't have to do a speech. So, at Table 14, Andre Prefontaine.
Table 15, Peter Marr.
Table 18, the incomparable Dick Boucher.
Table 26, Kyle McDonough, Hugh McDonough III, and C.J. Feisick.
At Table 4, Rich Ryerson and Dick Ryerson. Dick Ryerson is here.
At Table 8, 2 minutes for cross-checking, Pierre Belanger, Ken McKinnon, and Renee Leclerc.
And at Table 21, Bruce Parker, Roger Letourneau, Roland Levine, and Jim Griffin.
At Table 22, Merrill Fay unfortunately had hip surgery, couldn't be here. Jim Tufts and Gary Bishop, Table 22.
And how about a big hand collectively for all the Hall of Famers that are here today? Now we do have a gentleman from Melrose who has to make a speech right now. We're looking forward to this. And it is honestly a great privilege for me to introduce our featured speaker today. And I told him this. My father used to take me to see this gentleman play when he was a star at Melrose High School. He was a Red Raider. We used to go to the old Lynn Arena to watch Richie play. He was a big star in Melrose. And been a big star ever since. He played at UNH under another Melrose guy, Charlie Holt. And Melrose has had a great tradition with UNH. Today's featured speaker, Timmy Burke, Paul Powers, Andy Brickley. Not too shabby, not too shabby. There's not a person in this room, I'm sure, that's not familiar with our guest, an outstanding player at the University of New Hampshire, head coach at UNH from 1990 to the conclusion of last season, a host of Hockey East regular season and tournament titles, trips to the Frozen Four, countless Coach of the Year awards, a member of the Italian-American Hall of Fame, a member of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Richie Umili.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, and I got to give a speech. Like I want to give a speech. So I just want you to know I called up Coach Norton a couple of weeks ago to say, hey, Coach, so tell me, what goes on with the, if I told my friends where I grew up in Melrose that I'm a keynote speaker, they go, you kidding me? But Coach said, you got 10 minutes. And then I saw Jim Hayes' email. He's got me down to 7. So I'm going to make it very, very brief. But most importantly, let me thank the board, the president, John Norman, Jim Hayes, all of the board members for your dedication, your hard work in preserving, honoring our great sport of ice hockey in the state of New Hampshire. This is really a special day. I've had a blast here meeting people that I haven't seen in a long time, people I knew their name, whether it was from Berlin, whether it was from Concord. New Hampshire's had a great history of hockey, and I know myself how fortunate I was to play at the University of New Hampshire under the legend Charlie Holt. And I had an opportunity to go to Boston, and I think the best move I ever made was coming to Durham and playing at the University of New Hampshire. I look at the program, and I'm looking at some of the guys that played for the great organization, Myra, and I'm saying, they went to Providence, they went to BC, Zach Sanford, Giuliano goes to BC. At least we got him back now coaching at UNH. But there's been some tremendous players from the state, coaches, builders. And in reading the history of the New Hampshire Legends, it just brings me back to how fortunate I was, and I'm sure a lot of you were, what builders did through the youth programs. And back when I played, there really wasn't a whole lot of youth programs. There were a couple of guys that would bring local guys together, and we'd go play down at Lynn Arena, as Ken mentioned. Most of the games were pond hockey games where you learned to play the game. So whether you were a builder, a coach, or a former player, we are all grateful for those people that put so much time in making things happen in our communities where we were brought up. I can't thank those people enough. I know Coach Holt was very, very influential in my life. Being a Dartmouth grad, a great athlete at Dartmouth. My high school coach was Henry Hughes. He wasn't a Melrose guy. The fact that Ken and I just hit it off because I didn't realize he was from Melrose. He grew up not too far from where I grew up. But those gentlemen, Henry Hughes, who also played at Dartmouth, were the ones that influenced me so much and helped me along my way. I just retired, and I've been involved in hockey, coaching hockey, whether I was playing hockey or coaching hockey, and made a living. And let me tell you, I haven't worked a day in my life doing that, and I am very, very grateful. I can't thank the organization enough for all you do. John, I got to tell one quick story. I come in here tonight, and last year I heard that a friend of mine, a teammate of mine, in the social hour out here, over a couple of glasses of wine, I think I had 1.5 glasses of wine, but I met people that I went to. A lot of you might not know this name, but there's 4 or 5 former players from New Prep. It was called the New Preparatory School. It was a postgraduate high school program school. If you didn't play hockey, you couldn't go to that school. Everybody in the school, it was a little small school in Harvard Square on Brattle Street. Absolutely beautiful area. They had 3 teams, an A, B, C team. That's how many guys went there as hockey players. And one gentleman, and we heard so much about Berlin, Notre Dame. Every time I see Dick Boucher, this guy here hasn't aged in a day. I met Dick Boucher maybe 20 years ago, and he hasn't changed a bit. But a good friend of mine that I became very friendly with for a short period of time at New Prep, I used to take him to the house. My mother would cook pasta, a little Italian home. On Christmas vacation, I gave him a ride to Concord and dropped him off at Concord, maybe at the road. I can't even remember exactly where it was, but he was going home to Berlin. He never came back from Christmas vacation. I saw him here tonight. He's sitting down in the chair. He's there with a couple of friends, and I walk up to him, and I just stare at him. And I'm waiting for him to say, he didn't recognize me at all. I know I've aged, but he was a great player, a great guy. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, but Roger Letourneau from Berlin, it was great to see him. I hadn't seen him in a while. Berlin with its history and the mill towns, if you read the brochure, it's what it was all about. There was some more hockey players out of those mill towns, and they could really play, and it's great to spend this afternoon with so many people that, even the ones that we lost that didn't go to the University of New Hampshire, but I know I speak on behalf of the University of New Hampshire and my former coach, and I'm going to name 2 coaches because Bob Norton, who's not here, who did an awful lot for this organization, who's been inducted, he's had a little bit of health issues, but those 2 gentlemen did so much for me. Bob Norton got me my first job after graduation. I wasn't able to play. I wasn't good enough to play. I wasn't able to play after college, but he said, I got a job for you. He sent me to Watertown High School. I says, Coach, I don't know what to do. And he says, believe me, they haven't won a game in 5 years. You win 2 games, they'll send you to Florida. So just get there. But Coach Norton got me my first coaching job. I started in high school, and I had the fortunes of, again, another former UNH player, Mike McShane, who got me involved with him at Providence College as an assistant. And one of my first great recruits is the New Hampshire boy, Jeff Sorowick, who was from New Hampshire, that I recruited at Providence College. So it goes on, and I could sit here and tell stories about hockey players, where they were from, who they played for. And as my wife and I say all the time, there's nothing like the hockey family. They're the closest group. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody respects each other. A lot of us are fortunate with the game of hockey, and thankful for all of the people, whether you were a coach, whether you were a builder, for what you did for our game and for us personally. I thank you for inviting me here today. I think the most important thing is today's inductees. And I'll quickly, I didn't know Tony Urban. I got a chance to meet his daughter, Pamela, before the event. But another gentleman, if it wasn't for people like Tony Urban, most of us wouldn't be here. The players, I know Richie Ryerson, I remember him when he was with Bobby Gaudette, and I found out, I thought they were in the same class, but a little bit older than Bobby. Brendan Cray, he was at Vermont. I know he was a gun out of Hanover, and he started at Vermont when I first started at UNH. And one of my former greats, and you don't win unless you have good goaltending, Brian Foster, tremendous goaltender, one of the greatest games that we ever played in the NCAA tournament. Brian made over 40 saves. I think it says that in the brochure, but I can tell you he made a lot of saves a lot of nights, and that's why you win hockey games. You got to have a goal scorer and have a great goaltender. So it's great to see Brian Foster being inducted here tonight. What can I say about Bobby Gaudette, the great coach from Dartmouth College? I got a chance to meet his father-in-law, and even his father-in-law likes him. He said, "Oh, you know what? He's a great guy," and got a chance to speak with Bobby's mom and dad. But the last time that Dartmouth was in the NCAA tournaments was when Bobby and Richie were playing for Dartmouth. And I will tell you this, having coached in college, he's not only a great coach, but he's one of the most respected and well-liked coaches in college hockey. I know he's only a few games away from beating like a legendary coach, Eddie Jeremiah's record. So I know he hasn't started yet. Next weekend he opens up against Harvard, and I know he's a wreck. And I told him earlier today, I says, the best part about retirement, I got no stress, I'm a little relaxed, I'm drinking wine, I'm listening to the games. But I just want to congratulate this year's inductees, and again, thank everybody for inviting me here today. And John, I can't say enough about you and your organization. And Jimmy Hayes, this guy does more. I get emails, and he's so organized. Anybody that's in business, I mean, you didn't hire him, there's got to be something wrong with it, because he's the best. My wife and I, with our family, we have a home on Bow Lake, and gotten to know Jimmy over the years, and I want to thank Jimmy and everybody with the organization for everything that you've done. Thank you. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Coach Umili. Apologize for neglecting to mention a couple of the legends of hockey in attendance. From Manchester, Wally Tafe. And from Concord, Lee Blossom. And now for the inductees. The late Tony Urban was a football coach, basketball coach, a teacher, athletic director, a school administrator, a basketball referee, and an umpire. And while basketball was the family business in the Urban family, Tony played hockey for Berlin High School for 2 years. He then went on to Plymouth State College and attended graduate programs across the country. Tony knew how much hockey meant to his hometown of Berlin, and his career would include 36 years as chairman of the NHLOH Hockey Committee. Tony served on many NHLOH committees and spent one school year as president of the NHLOH. He was also very instrumental in the NHLOH sanctioning of girls ice hockey. He also served as an assistant principal and later principal at Berlin Junior Senior High School. And he was a founding member of the predecessor group to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. In his retirement, in air quotes, Tony was a police commissioner and New Hampshire's racing and gaming commissioner. Tony passed away on December 29, 2016, after a battle with a rare form of cancer. Please welcome to the 2018 class of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, the late Anthony Tony Urban. And accepting for Tony Urban is his daughter, Pamela Urban Morin.
All right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the Board of the Legends of Hockey on behalf of my mother, Carolyn, my husband, and myself for inducting my dad, Tony Urban, today into the Hall of Fame. Jim Hayes, I don't know where you are right now, but thank you for being my email pen pal for the last couple months. And thank you to whomever put forth this nomination. That was a really lovely gesture. This is a wonderful day. My dad would have loved to have been here to see many friends and acquaintances he made over the years through hockey and through other sports. It's been exciting to see many of you. I know many of your names. I met many of you in passing, and he would have loved to have been here. He was quite a guy, and this would have been a lovely day for him to be with all of you. When Bob Vachon and John Norman called to tell me about this honor, I sort of teased them both and said, he would have declined this, you know. He never took thank yous. He never wanted accolades. He just wanted to be out there doing the right thing for the right reasons. But in looking over awards he did receive as we were putting together some materials, one thing he consistently said was, an award from his peers was the most meaningful. This would have been very meaningful for my dad. He got involved with various things to make sure that they were going in a positive direction. He was a natural leader and people were drawn to him. He enjoyed watching hockey grow in popularity through the years and expand, and he loved being a historian and a curator of the game. He especially was obviously involved most heavily in the high school level of hockey and worked with the National Federation in writing the hockey rule book for many years for all of the country. He loved his role with the NHLOH for all those years, and I won't get into his whole biography because we only have 5 minutes. He invested a lot of time in consensus building abilities to ensure that hockey grew safer and healthier into the current times. He was an ardent encourager of sportsmanship always. He knew playing hockey, officiating, coaching, and being a pure fan of the game empowered the better parts of our society. Thank you very much for this honor and for remembering my dad. Being part of the Legends Hall of Fame helps to ensure that no single day can erase the good works of Tony Urban from our history. Thank you very much.
All right, our next inductee, Brendan Cray. I actually met Brendan and his family in the lobby just before we got here. Born in Connecticut, Brendan Cray grew up in Hanover playing youth hockey in the Upper Valley. As a teenager, he spent 5 years as a member of the New Hampshire All-Stars and made the U.S. Select 16 team in 1986. At Hanover High School, he was named Rookie of the Year as a sophomore after leading the Marauders in scoring. As a senior, he tallied 52 points and was named the team MVP, graduating from Hanover as its all-time leading scorer among defensemen with 127 points. His New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame coach, Dick Dodds, once said, he was an offensive threat every time he had the puck on his stick. He was a coach's dream to coach. Cray played 4 seasons at UVM. He was named assistant captain during his senior season and finished his Catamount career with 16 goals, 36 assists, and 52 points. After his sophomore season, he was drafted by the Los Angeles Kings in 1991. Cray spent most of his 4-year professional career in the ECHL, playing for Greensboro and Birmingham. Brendan now teaches in the science department at Deerfield Academy, following a long stint as that school's hockey coach. Please join me in welcoming to the class of 2018, Brendan Cray, as a member of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame.
Thanks so much. A little overwhelming being up here. Something I didn't know really existed. The New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame, even 5 months ago. So, but what incredible work you do, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. And not just today, but it feels like something I really want to be a part of moving forward. So I really do appreciate that. Part of that is a lot of the work done by the board of directors, spearheaded by Jim Hayes. From my standpoint, certainly he was the person I was in contact with the most, and he's done an incredible job in sort of pulling me along through this process. I have a lot of people to thank, obviously, my parents and my sister, sort of pillars for me growing up. It's obviously incredibly important parts of my life, mostly in trying to help me become a great person. Hockey was always important to me, and they always pushed me to be more than just an athlete, and obviously I'm incredibly grateful for that. I had a lot of great coaches along the way and tremendous teammates, and of course I feel fondness towards all of them for many reasons. Dickie Dodds, the legendary coach from Hanover, is the one that nominated me for this award, and those of you that know Dickie, he's an incredibly generous guy. But he's an interesting guy in that you don't know where the truth sort of begins and ends sometimes with Dickie. We were playing a game my senior season at Keene, away game, and Keene was a very good team. And Hanover has, since my time, become very good. They won numerous state championships. When I was there, we took some beatings to some other very good teams. And Keene was supposed to be a team that was going to give us a pretty good thumping that day. During my time growing up, there was a young man named Matt Robbins who was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2010. And Matt Robbins was a spectacular player. I was more of an athlete that worked hard. Matt was a complete hockey player in so many ways. And so Dickie comes up to me before the game and he says, Brendan, we need you today. We're going to need you to score some goals. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do the best I can. And he said, no, today's the day we really need you. Matt Robbins scored 6 goals against this team 2 weeks ago. And this was before social media, and I was like, oh, okay, 6 goals. Well, I'll do my best. I'll see what I can do. I remember in the middle of the second period, I was working my tail off, had not scored 6 goals. I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to do this? I'd be lying to you if I could tell you the exact end of the game. I did get a couple goals. I came off the ice, went by Dickie Dodds, and I sort of said, I apologize, didn't quite have it in me today. And he sort of had that wry smile, and he said, that's all right. Matt only had 2 goals in the game against Keene. So Dickie had a way to poke you, to push you, to try and get you to see that there was another level. My career had as many failures, or probably more failures than it had successes. My first one happened playing against the Wildcats in Snodville Arena against Dick Umili's team. It was 1990, which was your first year as a head coach. So maybe, Coach, you were as nervous as I was that day, being one of your first games. New Hampshire kid going to Snively, I was pretty terrified. Didn't have a routine for, the 20-minute warm-up off the ice. I just was pretty much discombobulated. As was said, I fancied myself an offensive defenseman. So I was slated to go out second on the second line with David Weber, our captain. Jumped over the boards as eager as could be, got the puck at center ice. So excited, looked left, thinking I saw a teammate, and I actually looked that player off, which is a no-no. Thought I might find another pass where I could skate through the center ice, and before I knew it, somebody had taken the puck off my stick. 5,000 fans. I'm chasing back, kids on a breakaway. Thank goodness our goalie made the save. So I skate back to the bench, feeling pretty low. It's my first shift as a Division I hockey player. Not feeling great. So I see Mike Gilligan, he's at the other end of the bench, which was just fine with me because I was going as far away from him as I possibly could. So I get on the bench and I'm thinking, that's probably it. I'm not gonna be trusted to go again. The third D goes out, the first D are back up again. My group is back up. And I see Mike Gilligan from the end come halfway down the bench and he screams, "Cray, you're up next. Can't get any worse." Who, if you know Mike Gilligan, you know that he was also grabbing his eyebrow and sort of leaning in and really stern with that. And it was one of those things where that was the beginning of my college career. I relaxed, I played, couldn't have been better. So, I have a lot to be thankful for. So to my mom, dad, sister, thank you. My wife and my 2 kids, you are the absolute best. I love you very much. You never know how much your parents love you until you have kids of your own, for sure. So thank you, appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks.
Our next inductee is Don McKinnon, a resident of New Hampshire since 1960, when he moved to Durham to help his wife's father in the millwork business. Don McKinnon became one of New Hampshire's most accomplished and respected on-ice officials, calling 5 NHLOH state championship games, hundreds of college games, and many games in the Granite State Hockey League and the New England Hockey League. Don spent 25 years as a member of the National Ice Hockey Officials Association, a member of the New Hampshire chapter for 23 years. He served as president of the New Hampshire chapter from 1971 through 1973. Now, if you're lucky, Don might even tell you about a memorable night at the JFK Coliseum in Manchester when he needed a police escort to get out of the arena alive. Please welcome to the class of 2018, Don McKinnon as a member of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame.
I've never had so much applause in my life. And I'm not going to keep you because I've got a bad cold and I hope you can all hear me okay. But I moved down to New Hampshire from Toronto in the early 1960s, and that Sunday at Mass I met a fellow by the name of George Healy, and we got talking hockey. Don't know why, but hockey's always a prominent thing to talk about after a Mass. But anyway, he told me that his brother John Healy was president of the National Intercollegiate Hockey Officials for New Hampshire. I said, I hate referees. I can't stand referees. The little amateur hockey I played in Toronto, I spent more time in the penalty box than I did on the ice. But anyway, George took me to a meeting in Concord, and I met his brother John, who was a great friend of Eddie Jeremiah's from Dartmouth. And I got involved. I started doing hockey games. One of my first games was with Dick Ryerson at Tilton, and other prep schools, high schools. And eventually, our chapter developed into great hockey players and become great referees. People like Rene Leclerc, Kenny McKinnon, and Buzzy Littell, as I remember, and a dozen others. And we were doing very well with high school hockey and the Granite State Hockey League, but not getting any college games. We got some freshman games from colleges like Norwich University. Kenny McKinnon and I were doing a game at Norwich University one night, and Bob Priestley came into our dressing room, and he started kidding us about refereeing. Are you guys any good and all this stuff? I said, yeah, I think so, but we're not getting any ECAC college games. And we had some real good referees. So that was the end of that. We refereed the college game and went home. But the next year, we started getting assignments from ECAC. So somebody put in a good word for us. I'm sure I know who. But as things went on for our chapter, we grew and grew and developed a lot of great referees. We took over the refereeing for the Granite State Hockey League, as well as our college and prep school games. But one of the nights I'll remember with the Blackhawk hockey team, called the Alpines then, I guess, was a night they were playing the Concord Budman. And we had just 3 referees back then. When we first started, we had 2 and 3 and now 4. And hockey has come a long way as I digress for a minute. But anyway, at this Manchester hockey game, a guy by the name of, I never knew his name, but they called him the Kangaroo. And he was a character. Many of the old timers will remember him. But in the second period, he scored a goal. I was at center ice waiting for the face-off, and they were missing a player. And the player was the Kangaroo, standing on the top of the net he scored the goal on with the stick raised up like this. So there was never a dull moment with the Alpines. So as time went on and our chapter grew, and I met some of the best friends I've ever met in my life, and I've got a lot of friends. But anyway, I want to thank you for having me and the growth of hockey because of this association and the referees of the state of New Hampshire. Thank you. Stand here, stand here. You can't miss it. Doubt this one.
Hey, Tony, congratulations. You caught me. I'm the Kangaroo. Congratulations. All right, next, goalies. They're a rare breed. I know because I raised one. And this next inductee was actually one of his heroes. Brian Foster grew up in Pembroke and played youth hockey with the Concord Capitals and juniors with the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs, backstopping that team to the EJHL Championship in 04-05. After one season in the USHL, Foster attended UNH on a full scholarship. He assumed the starting role as a junior, posting a record of 19-11-4. As Coach Umili mentioned, he stopped 40 shots in a wild 6-5 overtime win at North Dakota in the NCAA tournament, regarded by many as one of the greatest and most exciting games in UNH hockey history. His senior year, the Wildcats captured the Hockey East regular season championship, and Foster was named second-team All-America. After starring at UNH, Foster played 6 seasons of pro hockey. In 2011-12, he made his NHL debut with the Florida Panthers on his 25th birthday, playing 5 minutes in relief of Scott Clemenson and stopping the one shot he faced. That would be a 1,000% save percentage. In 2012-13, playing for the Cincinnati Cyclones, he became the 11th pro goalie in history to score a goal. Foster currently works as an instructor for Mike Buckley and GDS and as a goaltending coach at the University of New Hampshire. It's my pleasure to welcome to the class of 2018, Brian Foster, as a member of the New Hampshire Legends Hockey Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I think I had the best numbers in the NHL that season. But first of all, I would like to thank New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, its board members, the supporters, and the sponsors who make these events possible. It's truly an honor standing up here in front of you alongside so many amazing and deserving inductees. Never in my wildest dreams could I ever imagine hockey could give me so much. Hockey has brought me around the world, created friendships that will last a lifetime, introduced me to so many different cultures, and created so many memories that will last a lifetime. The greatest memory that hockey has given me wasn't playing my first NHL game on my birthday. It wasn't playing hockey at the University of New Hampshire, a college I had always dreamt about playing as a little kid. It wasn't representing my country in Slovakia in the Five Nations tournament. The greatest memory of hockey that hockey has given me was playing pond hockey by my house with all my friends. We used to get dressed downstairs. My dad would pull up the tractor to the back door. We'd all pile in the bucket, and he'd drive us down to the pond. It wouldn't matter how cold it was outside. We would be out there for hours, just skating around, simply because we loved the game. That's why I put out all the hours in growing up, working hard and trying to get better. It wasn't because I wanted to be the next Patrick Waugh. It was simply because I loved the game. Hockey has given me the opportunity to continue that passion for the game with my work as a goalie coach. Every day I'm teaching lessons. It makes me happy to see so many young kids that have that same passion for the game that I had and that I still have. The hockey community in New Hampshire is unmatched, and I am so proud to still be a part of it. I grew up playing youth hockey with the Concord Capitals. Our biggest rival was always the Manchester Flames. We used to hate playing against the Flames. Over the past couple seasons, I've had the chance to work with them, and my feelings towards them may have changed just a little bit. The Flames have some outstanding people within their organization. They do so much for our youth hockey players who will eventually be the future of our sport. I am happy to see that they're being recognized today the way that they deserve. I would like to thank all the coaches I have had along the way. Thank you to Coach Gaudette, who I had the pleasure of playing with for the New Hampshire Festival teams, later against him at Dartmouth. Thank you to Coach Tremblay, who I had with the Monarchs. He believed in me and gave me the opportunity. That opportunity would eventually be what led me to the University of New Hampshire. Thank you to coaches at UNH, Coach Lasan, Coach Bork. Thank you, Coach Milley. Thank you for giving me 4 of the most memorable seasons of my hockey career. You're truly a great coach, and more importantly, a great person. You deserve all the recognition and success you have earned over the seasons. I'd like to thank my girlfriend, Kylie. Kylie has traveled across the country and across the ocean for me to be there to support me in my hockey career. She was always there for me to vent after a bad game or to celebrate big wins. She's done so much for me, and I can't thank you enough. Most importantly, Mom and Dad, you two are the reason I'm here today. You guys have sacrificed so much for me to be able to play the sport I love. You were the biggest support staff and have driven me countless hours across New England and across the country. All the coaches that I've had over the years, I think my dad was always my best coach. Sorry, Coach Emili. You may have thought I'd never listen to you, but every once in a while I did. He always wanted me to be a goal scorer, but clearly I didn't listen to that one. Thank you to all my family members and everyone along the way who supported my dream. This is a huge honor I can't express enough to all of you how truly grateful I am. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Bob Gaudette, entering his 22nd year as head coach at Dartmouth College, his alma mater. Bob is poised to become the all-time winningest coach in school history. His 305 wins with the Big Green trail only the legendary Eddie Jeremiah, who had 308. Gaudette has made Dartmouth one of the most consistent teams in ECAC hockey during his tenure. Bob is only the second coach to have won the ECAC Coach of the Year award at two separate programs, in 1994-95 at Brown, and in 2005-2006 at Dartmouth. He's coached a number of players who have gone on to the National Hockey League, most recently Ben Lovejoy of Canaan, who was a Stanley Cup champion with the Pittsburgh Penguins. A native of Saugus, Massachusetts, right next to Melrose. He knows the Hilltop, he knows Russo's ice cream, and they're both gone. Bob was a star goaltender for the Big Green in the late 70s. In 1979 and 1980, he led Dartmouth to Ivy League titles and appearances in the NCAA Frozen Four. As a senior, he served as co-captain and was recipient of the Philip D. McGinnis Award for spirit, loyalty, and dedication to Dartmouth hockey. Please welcome to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame, being inducted as a coach, Bob Gaudette.
Thanks so much. I want to begin by thanking Jim Hayes and John Norman and the New Hampshire Legends Board of Directors for this honor. I am truly humbled. My thanks also go to Brian Corcoran and Carl Lovejoy for nominating me. Congratulations to all of today's honorees, Brendan, Brian, Rich, Don, the family of Tom Urban, and the Manchester Regional Youth Hockey Association. It is particularly meaningful to me to be inducted with my Dartmouth College teammate and very close friend, Rich Ryerson, and so nice to see his dad, fellow Hall of Famer Dick Ryerson, here today. Thanks also to my family, who I love. My Dartmouth teammates who are here really surprised me and Rich by being here. My athletic department colleagues that are here, and all of my friends. It is not an understatement to say that this great game of hockey has played an important role in my life, as I've either played or coached hockey every year during the past 50 years. I owe so much to the people and institutions that welcomed me, opened doors of opportunity, and supported my hockey career. This appreciation starts with my parents, and I couldn't be more thrilled to have Mom and Dad here with me today. They sacrificed so much and spent so many hours in rinks supporting me. They believed in a ridiculously skinny youth hockey goalie who would show up for games wearing Coke bottle glasses and then continue to believe in me when I took them off to put on my mask and go out and play. My mom is still the only person who thinks that the 1980 Miracle on Ice Olympic team made a mistake in goal by not choosing her son. My dad gave me some of the best advice I have ever received when I called him on my dorm payphone as a disappointed JV goaltender during my freshman year of college. He listened to me complain about my plight and then simply said, "Play better and show them." His message about accountability and work ethic has served me well throughout my life. My appreciation extends to the East Boston Youth Hockey Association, where I first played organized hockey. My Saugus High School coaches, Paul O'Brien and Chris Serino, who are fabulous coaching mentors. Dartmouth hockey coaches George Crow and Mike McShane, who coached Rich and me, leading us to 2 Frozen Four appearances. Brown University, who took a big chance on me when they gave me my first opportunity as a head coach at the college level at age 29. Dartmouth College, for providing me with the opportunity to return to my alma mater to coach at a school that I'm so passionate about for the past 22 years. The fine coaching staffs that I have been in the trenches with over the years, including and especially my current staff of David Lassonde, John Rose, and Brian McCluskey. And finally, to the hundreds of talented young men that I have had the pleasure to work with and learn from over the past 36 years. On a personal level, the entire Gaudette family has been impacted by and involved with New Hampshire hockey on so many levels. Our 3 children played youth hockey for Lebanon, Hanover, and the Monarchs organizations. Joe and Jimmy also played their junior hockey in New Hampshire for the Monarchs before they attended Dartmouth, where I had the very special pleasure of coaching both of them when they played for the Big Green. All 3 of our kids played for Hanover High School and the legendary New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Famers, Dick and John Dodds. Under these 2 accomplished coaches, Joe and Jimmy won 3 boys state high school championships between them, and our daughter Kelly won 4 straight girls state high school championships. I remember when we first moved back to Hanover, someone asked my son Jimmy if he wanted to be a goalie like his dad. He responded, "No, I want to be a real hockey player." That was okay with us. After seeing the stress that I put my parents through playing this position, my wife Lynn and I had a rule in our household that none of our kids would be goalies. That worked pretty well for a while until we got to Kelly. Kelly has always had a mind of her own. After her brothers threw her into the goal that we had in our basement during a shooting practice one day when Lynn was at the grocery store, there was no turning back. Although I've been in many stressful hockey situations, it doesn't compare to being the parent of a goalie. I have to admit that it actually caused me to do things like watch one of Kelly's high school playoff games through the back window of Concord's Everett Arena while standing in the snow because I arrived after the puck had dropped and didn't want to mess with her mojo. Even through the tiny window and the snow, this proud dad was able to see her make a sweet save on a penalty shot and play a great game. Of course, I also have to thank the love of my life, my wife Lynn. We met in college and have been married for 36 years, so we've been on this side-by-side hockey ride for most of my life. Although she never played the game of hockey, I truly believe that, considering all of the hours she has spent in the rinks, my wife knows more about the game of hockey than the rest of us combined. In closing, it is an incredible honor to be inducted into the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame that has so many accomplished previous recipients who I admire, like the Dodds brothers, Dartmouth legendary coaches Eddie Jeremiah and George Crow, Red Gendron, Charlie Holt, and my good friend and today's keynote speaker, Dick Umili. It has been an incredible hockey journey, and I have enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you very much.
All right, and to our final inductee, I knew at a young age I loved hockey. I could think hockey at a high level, but I just couldn't play hockey at a high level. So I decided to marry a hockey family. And I married this next inductee's sister, Ann. So I actually got a front row seat to see some of his exploits at Dartmouth. Rich Ryerson grew up in Concord, left his mark at St. Paul's School, playing all 4 years of varsity. His coach was 2006 Legends of Hockey Hall of Famer Bill Matthews, who once called Ryerson one of the finest players he ever coached. During his freshman season, he helped St. Paul's go 11-2. He scored 38 points as a junior, and as a senior, served as co-captain, receiving the Gordon Medal as the school's best all-around athlete, an award his father had won a couple of years earlier. Okay, a couple of decades earlier. He was inducted with Hobie Baker, what can I say? After that, it was on to Dartmouth, where he burst onto the college scene, scoring 11 goals and 7 assists as a freshman. In his junior and senior seasons, he was a key part of some superb teams that featured fellow classmate and inductee Bob Gaudette in goal. During his junior and senior campaigns, he helped the Big Green reach Frozen Fours in back-to-back seasons. As a senior, Rich scored 2 goals in the old Boston Garden to propel Dartmouth to a win and a trip to the ECAC championship game against Cornell. Rich finished his Dartmouth career playing in 111 total games, 29 goals, 26 assists for 55 points. He's currently an associate director of admissions for Kimball Union Academy. It's my pleasure to welcome my brother-in-law, Rich Ryerson. As a member of the Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame, I'd also like to make a quick note. Rich now becomes, with his father Dick, my father-in-law Dick, the third father-son combination inducted into the Hall of Fame, joining Elmo and Dick Terrio and Dan and Mark Stuckey. So a big hand for all of them. And Dick, would you please come out? You have to come up.
Thanks very much. I told my wife that I would keep this short, and I have so much respect for Coach Gaudette, so I ditto everything he said, and I'm done. Actually, I was laughing, and this probably looks worse than it is, because the font size is about this big, so welcome. I'm honored to be a member of the class of 2018 Legends Hockey Hall of Fame. I'd like to thank the Legends Induction Committee for this honor, and congratulate the other inductees, Brendan, Brian, Don McKinnon, Pamela and the family of Tony Urban, and my good friend, teammate, and fishing buddy, Bob Gaudette. It takes a village to raise a child, and I have been so fortunate to have had so many people support me over the years, many of them of whom are in attendance here today. First of all, I'd like to thank my family, my wife, Michelle, Ellie and Hannah, my daughters, my new son-in-law, Craig Shepard. I'd like to thank my siblings. I want to thank Star and Ann and Tom for all the time they spent in cold rinks watching my games, probably more games than they cared to see. Obviously want to thank my dad, and my mom's no longer with us, but certainly want to thank her for all she did for me over the years. I want to thank my friends from Kimball Union, Tim Whitehead, Tom Pratt, Woody Haskins, that are here today. I also want to think of Kimball Union. Kimball Union is where I work now. I think of George Akerstrom, who was an inductee into the Hall of Fame. Thank you for coming. The folks from Dartmouth, first of all, my teammates, what a great surprise to see everybody today. Thank you very much for coming. The coaching staff at Dartmouth, members of the athletic department for coming out to support Bobby and myself. I'd be remiss without thanking my Concord cronies, my Concord buddies. A shout out to Matty Soul, Simon Nollet, Tom Paincho, John Marchand, Carl Lovejoy. Carl was the person that nominated myself as well. Just for always being there for me, and for making our time on the playing fields and at the rink so much fun. And because of time and you know, perhaps omitting someone, I just wanted to thank all the coaches that I've had over the years who have been so instrumental in helping me as a hockey player, but more importantly as a person. I want them all to know I've been very appreciative of all that they've done for me. I've had some great coaches. I also think it's no coincidence that 3 of my coaches are in the New Hampshire Hall of Fame. And I wanted to mention Bill Matthews, who's a good friend and a mentor. Bill was my coach at St. Paul's, and he was inducted into the Hall in 2006. Bill was a great coach. Today, I think he'd be called a player's coach. We respected him immensely. We didn't want to disappoint him, and he got the very best out of his players. And I wanted to thank Bill. George Crow was my coach at Dartmouth. George was inducted in 2004. And Bobby and I talked about this a little while ago. We really think that George was kind of ahead of his time as a coach. He was very innovative, a strategist. He knew the game inside and out. And I think his record of 2 consecutive Final Four appearances speaks for itself. So I wanted to thank George Crow. And of course, Dick Ryerson, my dad, was inducted in 2006, along with Bill Matthews. And posthumously, I know there were others that year, but posthumously, I think Hobie Baker. That's a pretty good induction class. My dad is my role model. He's my hero. And I saw how passionate he was about hockey, and he instilled in me that same passion. To this day, I can still remember my dad at Tilton School. Tilton didn't have an indoor rink at that time. The rink was over the hill. It was on a pond. And I still picture my dad with the big fire hose flooding the rink to get ready for the games. That's why he lives in Florida now. He's still trying to thaw out. My dad is 91 years young. He lives in Florida. It wasn't easy for him to travel to get up here. But I just want him to know how much it means for him to be here today. Dad, you're a great coach, a great mentor, and an even better dad. Thank you.
Mr. Ryerson, would you please come up? Here, take a photo.
Great to see you. How are you? So I'm doing this announcement. At our annual meeting last May, the board selected the team to honor in 2019. Today, we announce that team to everyone. This team will be honored at our 18th annual induction ceremony. Although this team had a brief history, the club which the team was named was established in 1927, has a terrific history, and is still going strong today. The social club was known throughout New England area for its snowshoeing and their bugle corps.
The inaugural season of the Granite State Hockey League was 1963-64, and this team was one of 6 organizations. Most of their games were played against the 5 other teams, which came from Laconia, Concord, Rochester, Nashua, and Manchester. This team hailed from Manchester and had wonderful games against their crosstown rival. In fact, the commissioner of this league was Ken McKinnon, and their team's representative to the league was Joe St. Pierre. There were 23 of our Hall of Fame members who played in the Granite State Hockey League, of which 10 played for this club. In the spring of 1965, this team became independent and ultimately became the Manchester Blackhawks. In attendance today is the current president of the club, Norm Gamache, past president, George Momini, as well as 4 players of the original team, Andre Prefontaine, Dick Boucher, Roland Jutras, and Roland Martin. Please help us welcome the 2019 honored team, the Alpine Club.
Again, great to see all of you here. Congratulations to all of the inductees. Great to see another father and son team with the Ryersons, but one we failed to mention, father and 2 sons, Hubie McDonough Jr., Hubie McDonough III, and Kyle McDonough. So the McDonoughs are in that class as well and here today. Again, thank you all very much for your support of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. The Hall of Fame induction ceremonies have come to an end. And now I think it's picture time, right, Jim? Right. Picture time for all the Hall of Fame members to come up here and take a picture on the stage. And we also encourage the major sponsors, St. Paul's School, New Hampshire Distributors, and all who made this a part. Great afternoon of hockey. Vashon Kluke and Company, PC, and the New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association, Myra players, alumni, coaches, board of directors, and representatives of the 2019-20 honored team. So it is picture time, so come on up to the stage. Thank you very much.